Hello, Saskia, devotional goddess. I was contemplating this morning and came to realize that it was easier to talk about the cancer journey when I was going through it, rather than showing up afterwards and sharing where I'm at. Because when you're in the process of a major health crisis, it's visible, it's seen, it's evident what you're going through. Often, like something like cancer, when you lose your hair and it's clear, oh, that person's going through cancer treatment. And then the rebuilding of life afterwards. It's a whole other journey. Just as when a loved one is lost and they've moved on, they've passed on, or even there's a massive breakup or a breakup. It doesn't even have to be massive. If there's a breakup, it's the aftermath, that rebirthing, that recalibrating, that finding your way again. That is not easy. It's uncomfortable. And you don't ever really know how long it's going to take. And for me, I always like to brush myself off, pick myself up, and keep going. As if nothing has happened, or as if I'm all right, I'm strong. But it's not easy finding and recalibrating. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I'm very good at putting a face on for me just as much as anybody else. For my children. For me to maintain my momentum, to keep moving forwards. I need to put on that persona, and it's part of me. It's not fake. It's my way of coping, staying upbeat. But I'm learning to honor the stillness, honor the discomfort, and honor when it truly is tough, and being able to pause in it and be still in it and allow myself just to hold myself within that discomfort. And the rebuilding is not comfortable. That constant thinking and feeling, in lesser and larger degrees, it ebbs and flows, of course. And it is less than what it used to be, for sure. But where I should be further along. Why haven't I attained, whatever that space is that gives me the feeling that I've made it, or that I've attained a level of comfort. But the truth is, we're always moving forwards. And where I am working on is trying to acknowledge my wins, even though I'm not fully financially comfortable, or at a place where I feel I can allow for that exhale and rest and pause. That year after the active cancer treatment, where I was rebuilding my strength, beginning to teach again, and looking at other ways to work, I could still go for walks consistently daily, explore different foods. I could really put my self-care first, and that was such a gift. I am so grateful for that time. And now as I work more full-time again, juggling the children, I notice, where are my walks? Where am I recalibrating in nature? Where am I replenishing myself? And I see how I've stepped back in that survival mode. Routine. Of not knowing where the moments are to catch up, to replenish, but rather being in a place of alert, needing to keep going. You've got a window of opportunity here. Make the most of it. Get those emails out. What do you need to do in order to fill this time, in order to feel like you've achieved something else in your day, in addition to going to work, in addition to, that constant grind, if you would? I don't want that. I want to be in the slipstream. I want to be in the flow of life. And I'm recalibrating that too. In my morning journaling this morning, I was acknowledging that this phase, this rebuilding, is just as valuable to share as the cancer journey was. Because I'm still here. I had a cousin who was going through breast cancer the same time I was. She started before me, and she crossed over last week. My parents went to the funeral in the Netherlands. And that was hard. Even though I know, and I've seen in my meditations, that she is liberated and she is with her son and she is at peace. And I knew as she was preparing to cross over, I knew that she was at peace then too. But it's still been challenging. It's still been challenging. And this is where my spiritual life meets my earthly life. And where I am embracing the two and merging the two to be more congruent. Because I do believe when we cross over, it really is a liberation and we go home. But for us who are left here, there is a grieving process. And there is an adjustment of living without that beloved person in our lives. However that person had their place in our lives. So, in truth, right now I'm struggling. But not all day, every day. I'm functioning well. I have booked our vacation. And that's a bright spot for August on the horizon. But I'm noticing the open programs and how they cause me anxiety and my stress. And I just continue to breathe, stand in my yoga, and nibble away at what needs to get done, just as we all do. And trying my best to be loving and compassionate with myself. And yes, I have reached out to ask for some help and some guidance with one of the mentors that I work with every now and then. And as I said, met with a friend last week, and we acknowledged that sometimes when we up-level, when there is another shift coming, or we're in the midst of it, when we're in the midst of that change, and it's so uncomfortable, there's so little to hold on to that's familiar. And it's once we're out at the other end, we're like, oh, I was recalibrating, I was shifting, and now I've landed and I've settled in that place. It's like that premenstrual hormonal shift that happens, and we're all discombobulated. And then 3 days later, it's like, oh, I had my period. That's why. That's the shorter window, time space of that emotion and that recalibration. And when it happens in our up-leveling or however we're shifting in life, it's not necessarily within a week that we notice the shift. But I've been through it enough times that I'm acknowledging that's what it is. I'm being asked to boss up and be still so I can see with clarity where my next steps are. And when I resist that being still and allowing myself that moment of, or moments of holding the space in silence and stillness to allow those steps to arise, or even in moments, it doesn't have to be a half-hour, 45-minute meditation. It doesn't even have to be, it can be a 5-minute meditation. It can be a 10-minute meditation. It can be pauses throughout the day to say, let me breathe. Let me be present. Let me just hold this moment and see what my next step is. It's amazing how easy it is to avoid those moments in and of themselves. But they are here. And this is part of it. Being consistent in my communication, being consistent in showing up for you in the hope that this also inspires and supports you. To know that this is part of the human condition, but to allow ourselves those moments where we sit, we give ourselves the gift of being present to ourselves. That we honor ourselves, not even as a gift, just in honoring who we are and how we show up. in the muck, in the ease, on the way to the slipstream, to being more connected to the flow of who we are. Because the more we can be in the stillness, the more we can be in the moments, the more we will be able to show up for ourselves and be in the flow of our lives. Because each of us are unique. Each of us have our own template, and each of us have our own dharma, our own purpose to fulfill. And that is the journey that each of us are here to take, and to pause with, and to be still with, and to allow it to arise within us. And it is humbling, and it is uncomfortable at times, but that's what builds our strength, our resilience, and our knowing as to who we truly are, not the illusions of who we think we are. Those we want to dispel, because those are often false illusions that can feel incredibly real, but need to be revealed so that we can truly see our own divinity and the magnitude of who we truly are, rather than the smallness of who we often think we are. This too shall pass. I wish you well. I thank you for visiting. Many blessings. Please share, subscribe if you have found this to be helpful in any way. Much love.